What's up guys, Everett Smith here, and today's a special video because it marks the full year of data that we are receiving since the pandemic first hit back a year ago in 2020. And I want to compare it side by side with a few specific neighborhoods and Brooklyn overall with March of 2020's data and see how it affected sales, if at all, within that first month. So let's jump into it, but before I do, if you like videos like this, please like it and subscribe for even more content in the future. So without further ado, I'm gonna jump into it, and here we go. First of all, we're looking at the average listing price for all of Brooklyn, and the difference is about $30K, and it looks like that has actually gone down a little bit. The median listing price has also gone down about $45K. So here's what I want to point out. The number of properties sold back in March of 2020 was 195 versus 278 in 2021. Are currently a lot more people selling properties now than ever before. And remember, when we're looking at the number of properties sold, these are listings that just closed, right? This is not that someone walked out and saw the property at that point in time. Listing taken off the market, 522, obviously that makes sense. 190, there shows that confidence, so that's pretty interesting. New listings, this is what I'm talking about. 335 versus 415. Whereas last year, listings might have stopped coming to market at some point halfway through the month, we have seen an increase in new listing activity. So when we compare that to February and we look at the new listings, that is on super increase, which means yes, there are more new listings coming to market as it's getting warmer in comparison to, like I said, that 415. So that is a good number, and hopefully that trend continues as we go into May. The number of contracts signed was about the same during that time, and I feel like that might be a mix of the people who had already gone out there, wanted to sign their contracts, maybe finishing up. So there isn't a huge difference there. Our total listing inventory was 2250 back in 2020 and 2440. So it has gone up a little bit. Our average price per square foot has gone down. And I mentioned that in my last video. Overall, it seems like the Brooklyn price per square foot took quite the dip over time. Let's compare that to February. So, okay, at least it's kind of leveled out at this point. So these numbers, what they're telling me is that the pandemic did affect pricing, but it really didn't affect pricing that much. I wonder if that's different when we look at the single family and multifamily. Let me check that out real quick. Average listed price has generally decreased, but if we're looking at multifamily homes in particular, that number has increased. So there we have it. New listings, that's what really went on. 42 and 108 versus 53 and 91. That price per square foot, 700 versus 746, 649 versus 666. So multi-family homes, single family homes specifically, have increased in price overall. And if you are looking at apartments, they have decreased in pricing overall. And that makes sense because more people want more space during a pandemic when we were stuck at home and cooking from home and cleaning from home and doing all of our dirty business that we do inside of our homes. Before I continue any further, I want to take a moment to stop and say the information provided to you in these market reports is as accurate as is being fed to me. It will not include everything possible. If you're thinking that this applies to specific amount of bedrooms, if you're thinking that this applies to specific neighborhoods, it is not that deep. It is just giving you an overview from the top. However, if you would like a more specific market report for your neighborhood or for a specific apartment type that you're looking for, I want to encourage you to text me at 646-653-4764 so that I can give you a full detailed market report for your neighborhood
or again, the type of apartments you're looking for, so that you can have a better understanding of how this information relates to your specific details and how you can use it to make a decision for the future. Now, back to Brooklyn.
So now let's jump into the area in which I live, which is Crown Heights. And we're looking at average price. Okay, so there's a pretty hefty difference. So back during pandemic hitting, our average listing price was around 977, and now it has decreased almost in 100K. That's a pretty stark difference, and even the median listing price as well. Listings taken off the market is a lot less now than previously. New listings, 16 versus 24. All right, so people are feeling more confident coming to market. Average price per square foot, again, there is a dip there. Let's go up to the specific bedroom. I think this might give us an indicator of what listings are taking those huge hefty price drops. So we can compare the studio. The average was 486. The average now is 496. So that's actually gone up, which is quite surprising. But there's not that much data for that. So that is one thing that when you're looking at data, you have to be very particular about. If there's not enough data, it's going to be skewed in one way or another. And that's why I said I like to look at all of Brooklyn. 650 versus 627. So one bedrooms have generally dropped a little bit. It's not as crazy as the all Brooklyn showing. Two bedrooms have also dropped. 3 bedrooms looks like they are selling for way more right now in Crown Heights. 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms. This is a bad comparison, but look at that difference in 3 bedrooms. Back pre-pandemic, 1.293. Now 3 bedrooms is 1.415. Again, that might just be a few listings that is really determining that number. So let's look at one other neighborhood that has usually a bigger yield. All right, so now I'm jumping into Bed-Stuy, which is one of my more favorite neighborhoods to work. And again, let's start towards the bottom so we can see where our baseline is. Our average pricing back in 2020 was $796. It looks like that has definitely gone down about 30K. Number of properties sold was 17 and 17, so that has actually not changed at all. The number of listings taken off the market, 14 is quite the difference. But again, when the pandemic first hit, I can imagine 47 people taking their listings off the market. New listings to market is 25 last year and 20 this year. Actually less, and speaking to that, number of contracts signed. So that is 36 versus 27. The listing inventory at that time was 175 total units on the market versus what's now is 145. Again, a result of homes going into contract very quickly and not enough inventory coming out to replenish that. Our average price per square foot was $916 versus $903. Again, a little bit of a dip, but not too much to write home about. Okay, so when we're looking at multifamily, 1.807 versus a multifamily now, the average price is 1.849. So the average price for a multifamily has actually increased over the time of the pandemic since last year. Those are numbers that I can't fake. And number of properties sold, 16 versus 13. Okay, listings taken off the market, I imagine that would be low. Great. New listings, 17 versus 15. Again, to that inventory shortage we generally have. 23, 25, 188, 177, 594, 665. Multifamilies are going up in general in pricing per square foot, and even more so that single family. If you look at that, single family's huge increase from 715 average price per square foot to now 1,131. That is crazy. And I wonder if it's mainly because of the amount of single family inventory that's in Bed-Stuy.
I specifically chose Brooklyn and a few neighborhoods to go over in this video because I work a lot in Brooklyn, but I actually wanted to see what some of the differences were between neighborhood to neighborhood on a deeper level and share that with you guys. With that being said, I do want to address a few last minute things that I talk about a little bit in my last video that I think are really helpful and super important to mention in this video. Buyers, number one, you need to be prepared when you're going out to look for listings. And what I mean by prepared is that you need to have your pre-approval ready, you need to have a real estate attorney on deck, and you need to know essentially who you're gonna work with to get the job done once you get an accepted offer, because you can easily lose out on a property by not having those things in place. If you'd like one of those buyer strategy sessions where I go through the entire process and how I work and answer any questions for you along the way, please feel free to text me again at 646-653-4764, and I'd be more than happy to do that with you. To the sellers, we have a major listing shortage right now. I don't want to call it major because there's a lot of other places in the country that are really dealing with some major listing inventory shortages. But what I mean when I do say that is that we could really use your help. What I would recommend for you is getting one of these market reports to see where your home might sell. Again, I'm more than happy to do a CMA for you so that you can really kind of compare it to other home sales in the area and what's happening now, not just what happened last year, to get a really good price recommendation for your home. This is not about listing at a price that is not going to get you what you're looking for. You know, there are a lot of listings out there that are still overpriced and they are still sitting on the market for quite a long time. For my landlords, right, I want to talk to you about the rental patterns and what we're seeing. A lot of people who are looking right now are looking for months out. And what I think that is a product of is, again, people who are starting to feel comfortable and wanting to see what their options are as far as what COVID deals are left. But what I have noticed, while renters are still asking for some sort of discount, it is not as crazy as it has been over the past few months. I want to say that there is hope over this summer, right? Summer is generally a time where a lot of people are moving. There might be a lot of people that got amazing 1 month off, 2 months off, 3 months off COVID deals that are not gonna get those same deals this time around. And because of that, they might end up moving again along with everyone else who's coming back to the city. So with that in mind, I feel that the rental concessions are going to dip over the summer. You're gonna see a lot less of them, or maybe just discounts off the asking price rather than actual, large amounts of months free that we have been seeing. So if you have a property and it's coming to market soon, you might be in good shape. But what about the people that might have rented at the end of the market? What I want to say for you guys is if you can list your properties early, like a month or two early in advance, try to do that. Work with your tenant and see if you can get those properties up on the market earlier, because it's going to give you a better shot at filling that rather than when it starts getting cold again, and who knows if we have another wave of COVID that decides it wants to hit and keep us locked in our places for a year or longer. Now for my renters, yes, there is competition and listings are going quickly, and not as quickly as pre-pandemic times where you see a listing and it's literally gone the next weekend. But they are going pretty quickly in the sense of a landlord is really willing to negotiate with you if you find that place that you love and you really want to move in there with a reasonable time period. I'm getting so many calls and people reaching out who are looking for August or September move-in dates, and it's still too early when you're renting to look at an apartment that early in advance. Maybe if some of the landlords take my advice about putting their listings up early, that might work out in your favor, but I'm not really seeing the benefit as looking 3 months in advance for a property, because in the best case scenario, right, you find it and then you might have to put a deposit down for however long period of time you might be waiting, and then that's just extra money that you could have done anything with. if you start looking within the month that you're going to be moving, now you can lock in, you can negotiate if it's been on the market for a while, you can move in and get some flexible move-in options for yourself. You're gonna feel a lot more comfortable moving forward on something like that than if you are to start your search right now and get overwhelmed by the hundreds of properties coming to market in the 10 different neighborhoods that you selected because you're flexible and you don't know when you really want to move. So guys, I hope this was extremely helpful for you in getting a sense of what's happening in the market. In the meantime, this is Everett Smith with Easy NYC Real Estate, where I make New York City real estate easy for you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.